So, Christine Brown joked about your decision to join Special Forces. She said, "We'll just see if his skills are as good as his ego." What do you say back to that?
Well, I just take it for a word. Yeah. Were my skills as big as my ego? I don't know. It was a funny thing. I didn't feel like there was ego flowing through that experience, Johnny. Not me, not you, not our peers. There wasn't ego. There was us all trying to survive together.
Hi, besties. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a very busy couple weeks with Christine Brown Woolley's book coming out, Meri Brown hitting the podcast circuit, and Kody Brown basically promoting two shows at the exact same time. And despite never going on any media for Sister Wives and relying heavily on his ex-wives to do all of the promotion, namely Christine and Janelle, all last season, Kody is now on red carpets answering questions about special forces, but also mixed within that, he is answering questions about Sister Wives. Perhaps it's a 2-for-1. And Meri was recently on I Do Part 2, a podcast where she talked about Kody and really where he's failing in life. Now, on the surface and in the media, Kody has this persona and he believes that he's famous and a really big deal. And maybe he is. On the flip side, back at home, he can't escape the fact that he has effectively abandoned his children. And Meri Brown pointed out at the end of a podcast that Kody has absolutely ignored his children and he does not speak to the ones that actually want to speak to him. This was after he stated that he wanted to make and repair his relationships with his kids. If I was going to guess the reasons behind it, I would say it's because Kody would say they speak about me online or I can't trust them or they're whatever. They're not giving me the cloak of charity. They're blaming me. They're blaming Robin, whatever it is. He always has a million reasons not to talk to them. But this is what Meri had to say about Kody and his parenting.
There are things that I think that he did better in his younger years than he does now. As
Like what?
Parenting is a big one. That the way that he parents breaks my heart. It really does. He's got children who need him and want to have a relationship with him, and he's not putting in the I can't say he's not, but I don't see effort being put in where some of his kids really need it. And knowing him as a young dad, I mean, he was all about his kids, and like they were his world. And so it's really sad to see the challenges that he and his kids are going through right now.
There are a lot of children that Kody has that he will not speak to, and the varied reasons are from they speak out publicly, he doesn't agree with what they're saying about him. But in the case of Meri, the reason why he won't speak to Leon is because they are transgender and they have been very open and they have transitioned. They are non-binary. They go by the pronouns they, them, and they go by the name Leon. And when this occurred and when the transition became public, Meri was and is absolutely supportive of Leon in every single way. And something they haven't really discussed on the show that I know from a friend of Meri's who told me that when Leon did come out and transition, Kody and Robin's daughters basically mocked Leon and they called them names and basically said that they don't know them. That's not who they are. It wasn't the person Kody raised. They didn't agree with their choice. They didn't want to stand by it or be around it. Robin began at that time calling Leon evil, and some of the girls were, I was told, being really cruel about their transition. This did end up getting reported in the Sun, and they haven't discussed it on the show. And I believe it's because Leon doesn't want to be on the show anymore, and Meri respects their privacy. But I was told that one of the final straws for Meri in really cutting off her relationship with Kody and Robin was what they did to Leon, and how they won't talk to them and they won't acknowledge them and they won't have anything to do with them. And I understand that there's a lot of misinformation that exists with the world of gender dysphoria and individuals who go through transitions. And I also know that it's, for whatever reason, extremely controversial. People often vilify these individuals that transition. And from Meri's point of view, all she wanted to do was support her child and be there for them unconditionally, regardless. And I think that's a testament to her commitment to her child. And so I'm sure those kinds of messages that were being sent to Leon were devastating. And I respect Meri for respecting the privacy of Leon. I think it's also something that obviously could, for many, highlight just the cruelty of Kody, you know? I don't know. I would never do that to anyone, regardless of what my position was about anything. You know, I would love the person no matter what, regardless. And I think that's about what it is to be a parent. It's unconditional love. And that's not what Kody does. Kody also doesn't talk to some of his other kids because of their positions. I know that Gwendolyn has been heavily shunned and shamed as well for her sexuality, and marrying Bia, and Bia is now transitioning to Ben and goes by Ben. And it's heartbreaking, honestly. And it's in a culture that doesn't understand and refuses to accept that just at the core, people are people. So that's what she had to say about Kody as a parent. And, I think Kody also neglects his children when it comes to Christine and obviously with Janelle's kids. Janelle lost a son, and there's still been no reconciliation. And I just keep thinking, like, Kody, you can go on these red carpets and do all these things, but you have no relationship with your kids. Like, what is this about, And on the red carpet, interestingly, Kody was confronted about Christine's book, and he got a little bit agitated. He was remaining cool, like he was trying not to get mad, but you could kind of tell that under he was a little bit seethy. So check this out.
How do you feel about like people watching, like your exes watching and things like that?
I don't expect them to watch.
Did you read Christine's book at all?
Congratulations on the book. Please tune into Sister Wives Sunday nights at 9 on TLC, starting September 28th.
I'm sure that Kody doesn't want to answer questions about Sister Wives while he's promoting another show, but obviously the two shows are coming out at the exact same time, and these reporters are trying to get information and sound bites so they can report on both shows and get responses from him. And if you know anything about Kody, is he tries to control questions when he's on tell-alls. And I do think that part of the reason why he rarely does these types of interviews is simply because he cannot control the questions that they ask. Obviously, he didn't enjoy her question. He was kind of tensing his jaw. He was shaking his head. He stared at her. And I think that Kody does that a lot, is that he stares and he does intimidating looks and he's showing displeasure. And during all of these interviews, he's done a lot of explaining away of why people don't like him, why the cast didn't like him, why, he has, excuses for his bad behavior. And I think it goes without saying that the only person that wanted to be on the red carpet with him, or I guess maybe was forced to, was Johnny Manziel. And this is a guy that also has a pretty, controversial reputation himself. Johnny was arrested in 2016 for hitting a girlfriend and was charged with misdemeanor charges of domestic violence. Those charges were later dismissed pending, like there was an agreement about classes, but he himself has had a history of not treating women very well, and he dealt with many suspensions in the NFL, substance use disorder, lots of problems with Johnny. So it's almost, I guess, not surprising that the two of them are on the red carpet together. Maybe they both had issues with other people in the cast. I don't know. But regardless, in a separate interview, Cody then admitted he faked illnesses to get relief. And so that the people on special forces wouldn't come down on him or wouldn't come at him. Check this out.
We're standing, and I've been in this water, and I started to shiver. My teeth started, and I don't want the DS seeing that. I don't want them seeing any signs of weakness because they'll play on that. But I do remember when we had been just run ragged, me wheezing, and it was a little bit fake because I figured if they thought I was really working hard, they wouldn't try to push me more, and I might need some energy for later. So I'm sitting there doing press-ups, and I'm like wheezing.
I don't know why that reminded me of when he had COVID and he had like a temperature of 99.7 and he was outside on his patio and he was talking about it was a death like experience. And then he, got into that fight with Christine about COVID, acting like he almost died because he was in the fetal position on the floor. And so I just think like he's so dramatic about everything the entire time that he was on these interviews. He just kept talking about, them trying to kill him and how this is an experience where they push you to almost die. And I'm like, I really don't think that's the point of this show. And he's just so dramatic about how these experiences went. I understand it's about training for special forces, but this is on a set, right? And they are being pushed. They are physically doing these activities, but there's no one that's going to end up getting out of this dying or seriously injured because they have teams there to ensure that no one gets hurt. This is a television show. There would be serious liability to the network if someone were to die on this set. So I think it's just really dramatic when he describes it that way. Yes, was it physically grueling? Yes, did they push them to their limits? Yes, were they put into situations that were outside of their comfort zone? Yes, were they done doing what they were supposed to do under special forces training? Yes. But I keep going back to the fact that he's got sons, 3, one who's no longer here, that have gone through basic training in the military and that serve in the military. Peyton and Hunter. Hunter is an officer in the Air Force. And, you never hear his sons or have never heard his sons whine and complain about going through these trainings. It's almost like, I felt like he was doing this. He says it's because he got an opportunity at his age and he wanted to get in better shape. And sure, he also got paid. But I just keep thinking about his sons that actually are in the military that have never complained about their training and that served selflessly to this country to protect all of us and to, perform their duties of service to this country and doing so with honor and without complaints. It's part of me thinks that he still is competing with his sons. And I can't help but think that part of the reason why he doesn't speak to some of his sons is because his sons will actually hold him accountable about who he is as a man and what he stands for as a man. I think Gabriel mentioned it last season where that he was raised to be a gentleman and to be respectful and to be a good person, and that nothing that his dad is doing is actually what a gentleman would do. He's not behaving like the gentleman he wanted his sons to be. And I think maybe he doesn't like that mirror. Maybe he doesn't like the mirror that it's before him, where that he doesn't want his sons to shine a mirror to him of his shortcomings and failures. Cody is also adamant that he's not dating anyone, he's not going to date anyone, and he's committed to Robin. So there's that. So he admits to faking illnesses to avoid strenuous actions. He admits to basically lying and manipulating. He gets mad when asked about Christine, and Meri exposes him because he is still neglecting his children. And despite his children wanting to have a relationship with him, he has still been shunning them and not acknowledging them. And I just think you can do all of these things out in the public, but if you can't manage your family and you can't manage the relationships with your own children that you brought into this world because you said you wanted to have your kingdom and you wanted to love them, and your biggest thing about life was being a father, I feel like you're a failure. That's my opinion. And it is heartbreaking. I feel bad for his kids. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties.